Last night, the town of Bedford, New York, stopped the construction of Muammar Gaddafi's Bedouin tent being built on an estate owned by Donald Trump. In our number 2 story tonight, new questions about whether Gaddafi would get to sleep under the stars appear to have been answered. Bedford town hall officials confirmed to NBC News that Gaddafi's tent has been dismantled and removed from the Trump property. The Trump organization has issued the following statement. We have requested that the tenant occupying the property in Bedford, New York, remove the tent that was erected. They have complied with this request. Additionally, Mr. Gaddafi will not be going to the property. Last month, Gaddafi's plans to tent out in Englewood, New Jersey were rebuffed by Garden State legislators. Prior to Bedford, he asked for permission to build a tent in New York's Central Park. That request was denied. In the past, Gaddafi has taken his Bedouin tent wherever he traveled, from Paris to Rome or Belgium. It is his preferred form of overnight stay outside of Tripoli. This week presented a unique problem for the Libyan leader. New York's skyscraper hotels are not an option because Gaddafi, who has no fear of palling around with terrorists, is actually afraid of elevators. Joining me now is Congresswoman Nita Lowey. She represents New York's 18th District, which includes the town of Bedford. Congresswoman Lowey, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Larry, for asking me.
Can you confirm for us now that Muammar Gaddafi is not sleeping in your district tonight?
Well, frankly, I've been in touch with the local officials all day, the State Department. Donald Trump didn't return my call, although I've known him since he was a kid when we all lived in Queens. And it's clear that the tent was taken down, and we're following it very carefully. Westchester County Police were asked to provide security. This is really extraordinary when you think that he was about to camp out in the backyards of victims' families.
Now, I don't know Donald Trump as you do, but I've been sure for a long time that there isn't anything that he isn't willing to do for money. But knowing him as you have, growing up in Queens, did you ever think even Donald Trump would go this far?
Well, I'm very glad he made a wise decision, because this was so shocking to the victims' families that Gaddafi would camp out in their backyards. I knew one of the families, and in fact we went to high holiday services together, and the grief and the pain has consumed all of them, and to think that Gaddafi was coming to Westchester County was totally outrageous to everybody who was living there.
And you represent families of victims. The New York State was unfortunately heavily represented in the victims of that plane crash, and I know that New York senators and Congress members have had to deal with this aftermath for a long time. Do you think that maybe somewhere else in the country that this would have gone more smoothly? I mean, have we forgotten Lockerbie elsewhere in the country? Is this just a New York thing?
Well, Larry, I think that for the last couple of years, Gaddafi was trying to make amends. But the picture of Gaddafi embracing the bomber, the mastermind of the destruction of Pan Am 103, was beyond anyone's expectation. It was outrageous. So if he ever tried to make amends, he certainly didn't do it in the last couple of weeks, embracing McGrahi.
Now, what do you think we should do in these kinds of cases in the future? This kind of problem is predictable. Should we recommend to these leaders that they should stay in their own missions in New York or their embassies, and they shouldn't try to do this kind of thing?
Frankly, Ghadhafi stayed last night in the Libyan mission in New York, and there was no reason why he had to camp out in the backyard of the victims' families. And although there isn't a legal justification, I was told by the State Department, to keep them from traveling, certainly it was common sense that he should be told rather forcefully, and others who may or may not come to New York and have that background, that they would not be welcome if they moved outside the mission.
Congresswoman Nita Lowey of New York, thanks for your time tonight, and let us know when Donald Trump returns that call, will you?